Getting started here, let's go with our headlines across the state. We're going to start off in the college rank. UTRGV, the Vaqueros, they will add their defensive coordinator. So Travis Bush is putting together his staff. They add defensive coordinator, former Texas State linebackers coach Brian Gamble. So he was there at Texas State the last 2 seasons. Prior to that, he was the linebackers coach at La Tech. Following a 10-year run at UIW. He was a defensive line coach at UIW, then moved up to DC in 2012. Also a big standout player at Texas A&M, Big 12 Freshman of the Year back in 2002, was on the Butkus Award list. So definitely a guy, other than that quick stint at La Tech, that you can say knows his way around the college ranks as a player and as a coach. So a big get there as Coach Travis Bush names Brian Gamble, former Texas State linebackers coach, as his defensive coordinator.
They're building quite the crew over there.
They are.
They're building quite the crew. I'm interested to see how they do.
Yeah, and I think that was a big thing in wanting Travis Bush to get hired, was all of the connections that he has, whether that be in the high school football ranks or in the college ranks. So a big get there.
Yeah.
Staying in the college ranks for a second, we're going to go to our non-FBS ranks, I believe is what we have decided to call it. Yes. Trinity and Southwestern are moving all of their sports to the SAA. That's the Southern Athletic Association. So they will become full-time members beginning in fall of 2025. So not for the next 2 seasons, but in fall of 2025. So the Tigers and Pirates are affiliate members of SAA for football and the SCAC for all other sports, but everyone will be moving there. So just a quick note there. Corey Hogue, our non-FBS insider, has a full story out on TexasFootball.com about that. I won't get too far into the weeds.
You know who else is in the SAA?
Who?
Rhodes College.
Rollings.
Just so you know.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
All right, moving down into the high school ranks, big news coming out of the DFW here as Mike Alexander, after 8 seasons in Grapevine, 6 of which as a head coach, 2 of them he was a coordinator for, is leaving Grapevine to head, honestly, just up the road to become the head marauder at Flower Mound Marcus. So you'll remember last month, Kevin Atkinson announced his retirement. He's been battling some health issues, but had a very, very well-respected tenure there at Flower Mound. It was hard to watch him go, but they have very easily found another fantastic head coach in Mike Alexander. He went 55-21 there at Grapevine, 4 trips to the 5AD2 regional finals, and our Matt Stepp had him saying Louisville ISD was first class throughout the process. He said the timing was right for us. It was just kind of a natural progression. I've always wanted to coach at the highest levels of Texas high school football. I had an incredible experience at Grapevine. This community is second to none, and it's been an unreal journey. I'm just ready to sharpen the axe once again, and I'm fired up to get started. So big news there out of DFW coaching switches.
Yeah, that was my question. I didn't know if he had ever coached at the 6A level before, so that's crazy.
Yeah, really excited for him. And Grapevine is going to be a highly sought-after job. I mean, there's no doubt about that. They continuously put out great athletes in the 5A Division II area. So crazy enough, now Grapevine and Colleyville Heritage both looking for head coaches because Kirk Martin went back to Manville. So Mustang Panther Stadium is looking for 2 head coaches to fill up. Another big chunk of news out of the DFW is that Denton Broswell head coach Cody Moore stepping down after 8 seasons. So if you remember back a couple of years ago, Coach Moore had announced that he was leaving Broswell and was going to be taking a different job. Then less than 24 hours after making the announcement to his players, he pulled I'm not going anywhere. I'm coming back. I'm not leaving. And so he decided to then stay for a couple of seasons moving into 6A. Now, before then, he was the first ever coach of Denton Broswell, all 8 seasons that they've been there. Before then, he was an assistant under Rodney Webb at Rockwall, moved over there, took over the program, built it up really well. In 2019 was really their debut year as they made it to the 5A Division II area playoffs. I was actually at that game when they beat Corsicana to make it into there. A huge kind of statewide shock that they were able to make it in. Then in 2020, they went 6A. That's right when Coach said he was leaving, decided to stay, has finished this off. He said that we're sad to leave this family, but are excited about what's ahead, and he thanked everybody. So interested to see where Denton Broswell goes now after 2 seasons that have been a little bit of a struggle in 6A, but looking for someone to kind of revitalize where they left off.
Yeah, I feel like all those Denton programs, that's just every single one of them has a highly sought after job.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Denton ISD is fantastic. It's a great place to live. So it'll be very interesting to see who the second head coach of Denton Broswell will be. Other news, we're heading out east for this one. A former UNT player, assistant coach, and South Lake Carroll assistant, Clayton George, is named the head coach at Mount Vernon. You'll remember that Brad Willard, who was the coach at Mount Vernon for 2 years, left to take the offensive coordinator position at Tyler Legacy.
That's right, yeah.
So now, most recently, George was the OC at Plano. And he's been all over the place. So this is actually a homecoming of sorts for him. He was a East Texas boy growing up. He graduated from Athens High School, then went on to play at North Texas from 89 to 93. He was a GA there, then a couple of other stops. He got hooked up with Todd Dodge at South Lake Carroll, was there for a couple of years, couple of other stops, then followed Todd Dodge to North Texas when he became the head coach in those early 2010 era.
Right.
Then went back to South Lake Carroll under Hal Lawson, has been a couple of other places since then. So he's been really tied in with the Dodge family through all of their moves, but originally an East Texas guy heading back out there to East Texas. And it's really not surprising. Mount Vernon, especially after Brad Willard and Art Briles before then, has focused a lot on their offense. Always a high-flying offense. Clayton George is definitely one of those guys, so it'll be very interesting to see what he does out there at a program that has, as of late, been very dominant out in East Texas.
That's a good hire.
Heading down to the San Antonio area, San Antonio Highlands names Roger Linderos head coach. He was the DC for 5 years at San Antonio Stevens before then. He'll be replacing Chris Castillo, who resigned in February to take over at Kyle Lehman. Coach Linderos was actually a banker who then got to talking with people from South San ISD and then decided he was going to go on and become a coach. He's been in the 210 his entire life, so he's a 210 guy through and through, and is very excited for his first head coaching job there at San Antonio Highlands. Going out west now, Abilene Wiley defensive coordinator Brian Hill named the new athletic director and head football coach out there at Midland Greenwood. Shout out to their fantastic Raider mascot.
It's great.
So Rusty Purser stepped down in January, and now Brian Hill will be taking over. Obviously, Abilene Wiley having a great defense for years now under Brian Hill. Actually, Atlanta grad, shout out. Then went to UT. Nice. He spent most of his time in college football before coming to Texas high school football in 2020. After COVID happened, he decided that he was going to come back home to Texas. He actually followed Charlie Strong for most of his tenure at UT, then over to USF. So he's definitely got the accolades that he needs. Spent the last 3 seasons at Wiley, now taking over Midland and Greenwood. All right, 2 more things here. Both of these coming from our recruiting grand poobah Greg Powers. 2024 safety Carter Jenkins transferring from Klein Forest over to Willis. The 5'11", 200-pound safety is actually the younger brother of Parker Jenkins, who is in the class of 2023 and just signed with Houston. But he will be taking his talents out there to Willis. He already has offers from Ole Miss and Boston College, so a big-time prospect get there as Carter Jenkins transfers from Klein Forest to Willis. And then finally, one more transfer of note. DCTF Hot 100 prospect Levante Johnson is going to be transferring from Sheldon C.E. King over to Galena Park North Shore. The 3-star 6'3", 180 what is he, Powers? Safety. Thank you. There's a teaser. Powers is in the studio. He checks in at number 85 in the 2024 DCTF Rising Hot 100. He's earned scholarship offers from Arizona State, Houston, Kansas State, Nebraska, North Texas, Oklahoma. The list goes on and on and on, but a big get there for North Shore. Mm-hmm.